He promised a month's salary if she translated it, but the cleaner did more than that. Michael Thompson was sweating bullets as he checked the clock for the 10th time in 5 minutes. The most important contract of his career was right there, on the glass desk of his 20th floor office, written entirely in Japanese, and he couldn't understand a single word. That's when he heard a soft murmur coming from the corner of the room. Turning around, he saw Deborah Wilson, the cleaner who had been tidying his office every morning for years, whispering something as she dusted the bookshelf. "Sorry, did you say something?" Michael asked, his voice thick with desperation. Deborah stopped cleaning and looked at him with her brown eyes, filled with a wisdom he'd never noticed before. "Oh, it was nothing, Mr. Thompson. I was just reading that paper on your desk. Seems like important stuff." You can read Japanese?" The question came out in a disbelieving whisper. "Just a little," she replied, going back to dusting as if it were no big deal. Michael's heart raced. The official translator had called an hour earlier, saying he had an ear infection and couldn't make it. The meeting with Tanaka Industries executives was scheduled for 2 in the afternoon, and he needed to understand every comma in that document before signing. "Deborah, I know this might sound crazy, but could you help me? I'll pay you a full month's salary if you can translate this for me." The woman in the purple uniform stopped again, this time turning fully to face him. There was something in her gaze Michael couldn't decipher. "I can take a look, sir." She approached the desk with slow steps, dried her hands on her apron, and picked up the document with a care that surprised him. Her eyes scanned the pages silently for a few minutes while he watched anxiously. "Mr. Thompson," she finally said, her voice more serious than he'd ever heard, "this contract has a serious problem." "What do you mean, a problem?" "You can't sign this, not the way it is." Michael stepped closer, trying to understand what she saw in those indecipherable characters. "But it's a partnership agreement. Tanaka wants to invest 15 million in our company." "Yes, but there are parts here that aren't right. Look here." She pointed to a paragraph in the middle of the 3rd page. "This says if your company fails to deliver the products on time, the entire debt becomes your personal responsibility." Michael's blood ran cold. Personal responsibility. That means if anything goes wrong, they can take your house, your car, everything you own. And down here, she flipped to the next page, there's a clause that says any delay over 3 days counts as a breach of contract. But that's impossible. Our production never falls behind. "Sir, with all due respect, anything can happen. A machine breaks down, an employee gets sick, a truckers strike, and you'd lose everything." Michael sank heavily into his leather chair. How had he missed this? More importantly, how was a cleaner spotting legal traps that neither he nor his lawyers had noticed? "Deborah, how do you know all this?" She averted her gaze, nervously folding her cleaning cloth again. "You pick things up in life, don't you, sir?" "No, it's not just that. You're talking about legal terms, international business law. That's not something you just pick up." Before she could answer, Michael's phone rang. It was his secretary, Karen. "Mr. Thompson," Mr. Tanaka called. "They're going to be about 2 hours late because of a flight issue. The meeting will now be at 4. "Thank you, Karen." He hung up and looked at Deborah. "Seems like we have more time. Can you keep reviewing the document?" "I can. But are you sure you want to know everything?" "Deborah, if you saved my company from a trap, I need to know it all." She nodded and went back to studying the contract. With every page she read, her expression grew more troubled. "Sir, this isn't a normal contract. There's a lot of strange stuff here." "Strange how?" "First, this Tanaka Industries company that signed here. I've never heard of them, and I've worked with plenty of Japan-related business. But they have an office in Tokyo, commercial references. They might, but this contract was written by someone who knows American laws extremely well. Too well. The traps are all tailored to our legal system." Robert felt a chill in his stomach. "What are you saying?" "That whoever wrote this knew exactly how to hurt you using our own laws." She kept reading, now jotting notes on a small notepad she pulled from her apron pocket. "And there's more, sir. Here in Clause 16 it says any dispute must be resolved in a specific court in Osaka. Do you know how much a lawsuit in Japan costs? No idea. Millions. And here it says even if you win, you can't recover legal costs from the other party. Robert was starting to sweat. Each new discovery Deborah made revealed a web of traps that could destroy not just his company, but his entire life. Deborah, I need to know. Who are you? She stopped reading and stared at him for a long moment. I'm Deborah Wilson, the custodian of this company for 15 years. No, you're much more than that. No custodian knows international law, speaks Japanese, and can spot contract fraud. Mr. Thompson, she said, tucking the notepad back into her pocket, sometimes life isn't what it seems. Before he could press further, she turned her attention back to the document. Do you want me to keep analyzing this, or do you want to hear about my life? Keep going, please. We'll talk about the rest later. Deborah nodded and resumed studying the contract. Every now and then she murmured something in Japanese, and Robert realized her fluency was perfect, not just a little, as she'd claimed. An hour later, she closed the document and sighed heavily. There, sir. I've read it all. And? You can't sign this under any circumstances. It's a trap from start to finish. But why? Why would anyone do this? Sir, may I ask you something? Who brought this business opportunity to you? Robert thought for a moment. It was Robert, my partner. He said he met Tanaka's representatives at a trade show in New York. Deborah nodded slowly, as if a puzzle piece had clicked into place in her mind. And do you have the authority to sign a loan? I do. Robert traveled upstate to handle some issues at the Rochester factory. That's why I'd be alone in the meeting. Sir, she said, her voice heavy with concern, have you stopped to think how much of a coincidence it is that the translator got sick today of all days? Your partner left right before the most important meeting, and you're the only one left to sign a contract full of traps? Robert's blood ran cold again. Now that Deborah had pointed it out, it did seem like too much of a coincidence. Are you suggesting that... I'm not suggesting anything, sir. Just saying sometimes coincidences aren't so coincidental. Robert stood up and began pacing the office. Her mind worked quickly, connecting dots he hadn't seen before. Deborah, I need to make a call. Can you wait just a moment? Of course, sir. I'll finish cleaning here. Michael called his secretary. Jennifer, can you get me the contact details for Tanaka Industries? I want to confirm a few things before the meeting. Of course, sir. I'll email them right away. While waiting for the email, Michael watched Deborah cleaning the window panes. There was something about her posture, the way she moved, that didn't match someone who had spent 15 years doing manual labor. She had poise, elegance, and an intelligence that shone through in every gesture. The email arrived and Michael began researching the Japanese company. It didn't take long to find troubling information. Deborah, I found something strange. The Tanaka Industries that wants to do business with us was registered just 6 months ago. 6 months? She stopped cleaning. A $15 million company registered 6 months ago? Exactly. And their address in Tokyo is a commercial building that rents meeting rooms by the hour. Sir, that's not a company, it's a front. A front for what? To scam you. Michael felt his legs tremble. If Deborah was right, he was about to sign his own financial ruin. But who would do this? Who benefits if I lose everything? Deborah set the cloth down in the bucket and stepped closer to him. Sir, can I say something you might not want to hear? Go ahead. Have you ever stopped to think about who would get your share of the company if something happened to you? The answer hit him like a punch to the gut. Robert? Yes. Your partner. Michael sat back down, this time because his legs could no longer hold him. But this is insane. Robert has been my friend for 10 years. We've been partners from the start. Sir, with all due respect, but 10 years is enough time for someone to change, or to realize how much the company you built together is worth. Michael rubbed his face. Everything was starting to make sense. Robert's constant trips, the decisions he'd been making alone lately, his insistence on Michael granting him full power of attorney. Deborah, if you're right, what do I do? First, you don't sign that contract. Second, we need proof of what's happening. Proof? How do we get proof? Leave it to me, sir. I have some contacts who might help. What kind of contacts? Deborah hesitated for a moment, as if deciding how much to reveal. Sir, I'm not just a janitor. I've never been just a janitor. Then who are you? Someone who ended up in this situation because of choices I made in life, but that's a conversation for later. Right now, we need to focus on saving your company. Michael wanted to press for more about her past, but Deborah was right. The immediate problem was bigger. What do you suggest? We go to the meeting but don't sign anything. Say your lawyer asked for more time to review the contract. And then? Then we investigate who these people really are and how they're connected to your partner. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. Michael checked his watch. It was already past 3 in the afternoon. The meeting is in an hour. Will you come with me? Me? Sir, I'm a janitor. I can't go into a business meeting. Deborah, you're the only person here who understands what's happening. I need you. She thought for a moment. All right, but only if you promise me one thing. What? That you won't do anything rash. If they pressure you to sign today, you just say no. I promise. An hour later, Michael and Deborah were in the meeting room of the 5-star hotel where the appointment had been scheduled. She had swapped her cleaning uniform for a simple business outfit she had brought in a bag, transforming into a completely different woman. How should I introduce you? Michael asked nervously. As a special consultant for international contracts. But won't they find it odd? Leave it to me. At 4:15, 2 men in suits entered the room. One introduced himself as Mr. Tanaka, but something about his accent didn't sound entirely Japanese to Deborah. Mr. Thompson, it's a pleasure to meet you in person, the man said, bowing slightly. This is my consultant, Mrs. Kimura. The woman accompanying him also bowed, but Deborah noticed she did so incorrectly for a Japanese woman. This is my special consultant for international contracts, Mrs. Deborah Wilson, Michael introduced. The 2 visitors exchanged a quick glance that didn't escape Deborah's notice. Pleased to meet you, she said, greeting them in flawless Japanese. Their reaction was immediate. The supposed Mr. Tanaka stammered a reply in basic Japanese, while the woman simply smiled without understanding a word. You're not Japanese, Deborah said now in English, though keeping her tone polite. What do you mean? The man replied, trying to maintain his composure. Your Japanese is too basic for an executive at a multinational company. And her, she pointed to the woman, didn't understand a word I said. Michael watched the scene tensely, seeing his suspicions confirmed before his eyes. Look, I don't know what you're trying to imply, the fake Tanaka began. We're implying that we know you're not who you claim to be, Michael interrupted, finding courage in Deborah's presence, and that this contract is a fraud. The man exchanged a nervous glance with the woman. Sir, I think there's been a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding, Deborah said, pulling a folder from her bag, is you thinking you could fool my client. She opened the folder and spread several sheets across the table. Here are the records of your company. Tanaka Industries registered exactly 5 months and 23 days ago. A capital of $2,000. An address in Tokyo that's actually a rental space for hourly meetings. The 2 fake executives paled. And here, Deborah continued, are the bank details for the account you requested the contract deposit be transferred to, an account opened the same week the company was registered. How did you get this information? The woman asked, forgetting to maintain her Japanese accent. That doesn't matter, Michael said. What matters is that you tried to scam me. The question now is, who sent you to do this? No one sent us. It was our idea. Lies, Deborah interrupted. You knew very specific details about Mr. Thompson's company. You knew he had authorization to sign a loan. You knew about the projects in development. You even knew the revenue from the last few months. That information came from inside the company. The man stood abruptly. We don't need to hear this. Let's go. You can leave, Michael said, but know that all this information is already with my lawyer. After the 2 hurried out, Michael turned to Deborah. How did you get all this information in 2 hours? I told you I had connections, remember? What kind of connections, Deborah? Who are you really? She sighed and began gathering the papers. Mr. Thompson, if you have time, I can tell you my story. But it's long and it's not pretty. I have all the time in the world. They returned to Michael's office. It was almost 6 in the evening, and the building was practically empty. Deborah poured herself a coffee from the machine and sat in the chair across from Michael's desk. My name is Deborah Wilson, but it used to be Deborah Wilson Bennett, and before that, Dr. Deborah Bennett. Doctor. PhD in International Law from New York University. Specialized in Asian commercial law at Waseda University in Tokyo. Michael stared at her, stunned. But how? Let me start from the beginning. I was born in Atlanta, poor family, got a scholarship, and graduated in the top 3 of my class at NYU. I won a grant to study in Japan, where I spent 3 years. 3 years in Japan. That's why your Japanese is perfect. Yes, when I came back, I started my own law firm specializing in international business. For 10 years, it was a dream. I had important clients, money, recognition. What happened? I met a man. Handsome, charming, successful, or at least that's what he seemed to be. Deborah paused, her eyes lost in painful memories. His name was Daniel. He claimed to be a businessman with ventures in Asia. In reality, he was using my firm to launder money from smuggling. You didn't know? Not at first. By the time I found out, it was too late. I was in love and 3 months pregnant. Do you have children? I did. A little girl. We lost her during childbirth due to complications. Michael's heart ached seeing the pain in Deborah's eyes. Deborah, I'm so sorry. After everything came to light, I discovered Daniel had forged my signature on multiple documents. I lost everything. The firm, my apartment, my savings, and worse, I lost my license to practice law. How? I was charged as an accomplice, even though I'd been deceived. I had to choose between prison or indefinite suspension of my license. And you chose suspension. I did. And to survive, I started cleaning. First homes, then offices. But why here? Why this company? Deborah smiled for the first time since she began her story. Because 15 years ago, when I was still a lawyer, I consulted for your company. It was much smaller back then, but I remember the names of the partners, Michael Thompson and Robert Bennett. Bennett, you and Robert share the same last name? It's no coincidence. Robert is my ex-husband. The silence that followed was deafening. Michael felt each new revelation from Deborah rewriting everything he thought he knew about his life. Your ex-husband, but he never mentioned. Because he didn't want anyone to know he was married to a convict. Convict? In the end, I served 2 years under a semi-open regime. Robert filed for divorce as soon as I got out. Deborah, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, sir. Life sometimes plays these tricks on us. But why did you keep working here knowing Robert was a partner? Because I needed the job. And because, well, because I wanted to keep an eye on him. An eye how? Sir, I knew Robert when he had nothing. I know how he thinks, how he acts when he wants something. And these past few years, watching him walk these halls, I noticed he was changing. Changing how? Becoming greedy, too ambitious. He started treating employees differently, talking about growth opportunities that didn't include you. You heard this? Sir, I clean offices late at night. I hear many conversations people think no one listens to. Michael stood and walked to the window. Below, New York buzzed with evening traffic. Deborah, now I need to know, do you think Robert set all this up to hurt me? I think so. But why? We've been partners for 10 years. Because over the last 2 years, your share of the company grew more than his. You created 3 new products that significantly increased revenue, while he just handled the administrative side. But that's no reason to... Yes, it is, when someone wants to keep everything for themselves. Michael sat back down, running his hands through his hair. If you're right, I lost my best friend and almost lost my company on the same day. Sir, sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones who disappoint us the most. What do I do now? Now? Now we gather the evidence and confront Robert. What evidence? I recorded the meeting conversation. She showed a small recorder from her bag. and I have the documents from the fake company. Plus, I have some contacts who can investigate his bank transactions. What contacts are these, Deborah? People I met in prison. Some of them now work in private investigation. Ex-convicts turned detectives. Life takes many turns, sir. Some of the women I met there were very smart, just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now many of them have their own businesses. Michael shook his head, still processing everything he'd learned in just one day. Deborah, I owe you much more than a month's salary. You don't owe me anything. I owed this to you. How so? All these years working here, watching you arrive early, leave late, care for every employee. I could see you were different from Robert. You're truly a good person. And you decided to protect me. I decided that if the opportunity ever came, I'd try to repay the kindness you always showed, even without knowing who I was. Michael was moved by Deborah's words. You saved my professional and personal life today. It's not over yet, sir. We still need to find out how far Robert's betrayal goes. How do we do that? Can you access his computers? Yes. We have shared passwords for some systems. Then tomorrow morning, before he gets back from his trip, we investigate. And if we find proof he really tried to harm me, then we decide what to do. But first, we make sure. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The next morning, Michael arrived at the office earlier than ever. Deborah was already there, no longer wearing her cleaning uniform but professional attire that made her look like the executive she once was. Did you sleep? She asked. Not a minute. And you? Neither. But I brought strong coffee for both of us. They went to Robert's office. Michael used his key to enter and turned on the computer. Do you know where to look? Deborah asked. I'll start with emails from the last 3 months. It didn't take long to find something interesting. A series of emails exchanged with an address not linked to the company. Look at this, Michael said, clicking on a message. I need you to wait 2 more weeks. T hasn't signed the final power of attorney yet. T for Thompson, Deborah murmured. And final power of attorney? Michael opened other emails from the same thread. Here, I convinced T to grant full power of attorney. Now we just wait for the right time to execute the plan. And this one, Deborah pointed to another email. The translator already agreed to miss the meeting day. He'll claim health issues. Michael's stomach churned with each new discovery. Deborah, there's more. Look at these emails from 2 weeks ago. The emails revealed a detailed plan to ruin Michael financially and force him to sell his share of the company at a low price. After he signs the Japanese contract and realizes he's been deceived, he'll be desperate to sell his stake. I offer half the market value and he accepts to try to save what's left, Deborah read aloud. Half the value? My share is worth $8 million. He was going to pay $4 million for $8 million in assets. And he'd still come out looking like the savior of the situation, Deborah added, appearing as the loyal partner willing to help his friend in trouble. Michael opened more files on Robert's computer. In a folder named Personal Documents, they found bank statements showing suspicious transactions. Look at this, Deborah said. 3 deposits of $50,000 each, all in the last week. Payment for the fake Japanese executives? Probably. And look where the deposits came from. Michael followed Deborah's finger on the screen. A corporate account from our own company. He was using company money to pay for the scam against me. That's embezzlement, sir. A crime against assets. They kept investigating and found more evidence. Fraudulent contracts prepared in advance, bank accounts opened under shell companies, and even a detailed timeline of the plan to take full control of the company. Michael, there's a folder here called Plan B, Deborah said. Open it. What they found shocked them even more. It was a backup plan in case the first one failed. It included false accusations of mismanagement, forged documents showing Michael's excessive spending, and even a fake psychological report suggesting he had emotional issues. He thought of everything, Michael murmured. He did. But he didn't count on a custodian who understood Japanese contracts, Deborah said with a bitter smile. Suddenly, they heard the elevator arriving on the floor. "Someone's coming," Michael whispered. "It's too early for regular employees. It must be him." "What do we do?" "We leave through the emergency stairs and go back to your office. Leave everything as it was." They managed to slip out of Robert's office seconds before hearing footsteps in the hallway. Back in Michael's office, they stayed silent for a few minutes, listening to the movements outside. "He came back early from his trip," Michael whispered. "Probably to find out how yesterday's meeting went." 15 minutes later, Robert knocked on Michael's office door. "Hey, partner. How did the meeting with the Japanese go yesterday?" Michael glanced at Deborah, who gave an almost imperceptible nod. "Hi, Robert. The meeting was interesting." "Interesting how? Did you sign the contract?" "No. Some issues came up that need clarification." "What kind of issues?" Robert's voice held a hidden tension. "Questions about the legitimacy of their company. Deborah here," he gestured to her, "helped me review the contract and we found some problems." Robert looked at Deborah as if seeing her for the first time. "Deborah? The custodian?" "International contract consultant," she corrected, extending her hand to shake his. Robert hesitated before taking it. There was something in his eyes Michael had never seen before. "Consultant? Since when do we have an outside consultant?" "Since yesterday, when I found out our official translator wasn't very reliable," Michael replied. "Not reliable how?" "Robert, sit down. We have some things to discuss." "What kind of things?" "About Tanaka Industries, about fraudulent contracts, about disloyal partners." The color drained from Robert's face. "What are you talking about, Michael?" "I'm talking about your plan to ruin me financially and take my share of the company." "That's insane. You're paranoid." "Am I?" Michael turned on the computer and opened the folder with the evidence they'd gathered, then explained this. On the screen appeared the emails Robert had exchanged with the fake Japanese executives. Robert sat in silence for a long moment, his eyes fixed on the screen. "How did you get this?" "That doesn't matter," Deborah said. "What matters is we know everything." "Who are you?" Robert turned to her angrily. "What's a janitor doing meddling in our business?" "I'm not just any janitor, Robert. I'm your ex-wife." If Michael had been shocked to discover Deborah's identity the day before, now it was Robert's turn. His mouth fell open, but no sound came out. "Deborah," he finally managed to whisper. "Hi, Robert, it's been a while. But what are you doing here?" "Working. For 15 years." 15 years? You've worked here for 15 years? "I have. As a janitor. Cleaning the offices you dirty, listening to the conversations you think no one hears." Robert slumped heavily into his chair. "My God." "Don't call on God now, Robert," Deborah said harshly. "He won't help you out of this one." "Deborah, You what? Going to say you're sorry? That you didn't know I was here? That if you'd known, you'd have done things differently?" When you got out of prison, I tried to find you." "Liar. You changed your number, your address, and disappeared. Made it clear you wanted nothing more to do with me." "It was complicated. Complicated was spending 2 years in prison because of your financial schemes." Deborah's voice was heavy with years of pent-up pain. Michael watched their exchange, trying to understand all the layers of the situation. "Deborah, were you two married when she was arrested?" "We were," Robert answered. "But I didn't know anything about what she was doing." "I wasn't doing anything," Deborah exploded. "You were the one using my office to launder dirty money." "That was never proven." "It wasn't proven because you fled the country when things got hot, left me to face it all alone." "I didn't flee." "No? Then explain the 6 months you spent in Europe handling business just when the police started investigating." Robert didn't respond. "Robert," Michael said, "is this true? You abandoned your wife to face a criminal investigation alone." "It was complicated, Michael. You don't understand." "I understand you did the same thing to me that you did to her, tried to use me for your schemes, and when things went wrong, you were going to leave me alone to face the consequences." "It's not like that." "It's exactly like that," Deborah cut in. "The plan was the same, Robert. Use Michael to sign a fraudulent contract and then leave him to deal with the fallout while you kept the company. You don't understand the pressure I was under." "What pressure?" Michael asked. "The company's been in financial trouble for months. We needed money to—" "For your online gambling," Deborah interrupted. Both Michael and Robert stared at her in shock. "How do you know about that?" "Because I clean your desk every night and see the statements you leave open on your computer. $200,000 lost on bets in the last 6 months. Michael stood abruptly. 200,000? Robert, did that money come from the company? I was going to pay it all back, with the money you were going to cheat me out of. Michael, I was desperate. The creditors were closing in. What creditors? Our company's accounts are in order. My personal accounts aren't. I owe nearly $500,000 to people who don't take no for an answer. Loan sharks? Deborah asked. Among others. My God, Robert, Michael said. You were trying to ruin me to pay off your gambling debts. I was going to split the money with you. After stealing from me? That's not splitting, that's giving me crumbs of what was already mine. Robert began to cry. Michael, I never wanted it to come to this, but I had no other way out. There's always another way, Deborah said. You just chose the coward's path. Deborah, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. I understand that you're the same coward who abandoned me 15 years ago. The only difference is that now you tried to do the same thing to your best friend. Michael approached Robert. Get up. What? Get up. You have 5 minutes to clear your desk and leave the company. Michael, you can't fire me. We're partners. Yes, we can, said Deborah. Misuse of company resources for personal gain, attempted fraud against a partner, setting up shell companies to run scams. Any one of these justifies dissolving the partnership with cause. And you lose all rights to the company, Michael added. But I need my share of the money to pay my debts. You should have thought of that before trying to scam me. Michael, for God's sake, they'll kill me if I don't pay. Then you shouldn't have gambled with money you didn't have. Robert turned to Deborah. Deborah, you can help me. I know you have connections, people who can talk to. I won't lift a finger to help you, Robert. You had your chance to be a decent person 15 years ago, and you wasted it. You won't get a second chance. But I'm your ex-husband. Exactly. Ex passed over. Michael walked to the door. Robert, 5 minutes. After that, I'm calling security. Michael, wait. No, it's over. 15 years of friendship thrown away because of your greed and cowardice. Robert left the office devastated. Deborah and Michael stood in silence for a few minutes, processing everything that had happened. Deborah, I'm so sorry. I didn't know Robert had done all that to you. You couldn't have known. He was always very good at hiding who he really was. And now, what happens to the company? Now the company is yours alone and it'll be better off without him. But what about you? What will happen to you? I'll go back to being a janitor. Deborah, you can't keep working as a janitor after all this. Why not? It's honest work. Because you're one of the smartest people I've ever met. Because you saved my company. Because you deserve so much more than cleaning offices. Mr. Thompson, I have a criminal record. No law firm would hire me. But my company can hire you. To do what? To be our official legal consultant, to handle all international contracts, to be my partner. Deborah looked at him in disbelief. Partner? Robert owned 40% of the company. I want to offer you 20. Sir, you're being emotional. You don't have to. It's not emotion, Deborah, it's justice. You saved the company. You deserve to be part of it. But I don't have the money to buy shares. You don't need to buy anything. Your share is recognition for what you've done and what you can keep doing for the company. Deborah was moved. Mr. Thompson, I don't know what to say. Say you accept. But what about my past? The other employees? How will they react knowing the new partner is an ex-convict? Deborah, your past doesn't define who you are today, and any employee who can't see your worth can find another job. Are you sure? Absolutely. Deborah smiled for the first time since Michael had truly gotten to know her. Then I accept. The two embraced, sealing not just a new business partnership, but a friendship built on trust and mutual respect. Now, said Michael, We have a lot of work ahead. How so? We'll have to restructure the whole company, hire new employees for Robert's old roles, review every contract he signed. And find out if he left any other traps behind, Deborah added. Exactly. Would you be willing to help with that? Deal, but on one condition. What? Once a week I keep cleaning the office, so I never forget where I came from. Why would you want to do that? Because it was by cleaning offices that I learned the value of humility, and because it was by being invisible that I learned to truly see people. Michael nodded, understanding the wisdom behind Deborah's request. All right, but the rest of the week, you'll take the office next to mine, with the title of Legal Director and Partner of the company. Legal Director and Partner, Deborah repeated, savoring the words. I never thought I'd hear that again. Life takes many turns, isn't that what you said? That's right. They spent the rest of the day planning the company's restructuring. Deborah showed impressive knowledge, not only of legal matters but also of business management and commercial strategy. Deborah, can I ask you a personal question? Go ahead. Have you ever thought about remarrying, starting a family? I have. But after everything I went through with Robert, it's hard to trust someone. I understand. And you, why did you never marry? I never found the right person. Or maybe I never stopped long enough to look properly. Was the company always your priority? Always. Sometimes I think I missed many chances to be happy because of it. It's never too late to change, Mr. Thompson. You think so? I do. In fact, now that we're partners, I think you can just call me Deborah. No need for sir. Only if you stop calling me Mr. Thompson. Michael is enough. Deal, Michael. The following week, Michael called a meeting with all the company employees to introduce Deborah as the new partner and legal director. The reactions were mixed. Some were surprised, others curious, and a few showed resistance. Everyone, Michael said, I know it might seem strange that someone who worked as a janitor here is now a partner in the company. But I want you to know Deborah isn't just any janitor. She's a trained lawyer with a PhD in international law, and she's the one who saved our company from a fraud that could have ruined us. Karen from accounting raised her hand. Michael, no offense, but how did someone with those qualifications end up working as a cleaner? That's a question for Deborah herself, Michael said, giving her the floor. Deborah stood and faced the curious gazes of her colleagues. Karen, sometimes life puts us in situations we didn't choose. 15 years ago, I made some errors in judgment that led to legal trouble. I lost my license to practice law and had to find another way to support myself. I chose to work here because I've always admired this company's ethics. And now? Brian from marketing asked. Will you be able to practice law again? As a company employee, yes. I can provide internal legal counsel without any issues. Are your qualifications real? Amanda from sales asked, a hint of skepticism in her tone. Deborah didn't flinch. They are. If you'd like, I can show you my diplomas and certificates. That won't be necessary, Michael interrupted. I've already verified everything. Besides, Deborah's work speaks for itself. She identified and stopped a $15 million fraud in just a few hours. What happened to Robert? Daniel from the technical department asked. Robert is no longer with the company due to behavior that conflicts with our values. A murmur spread among the employees. Everyone knew Michael and Robert had been very close. I know it's hard to accept so many changes at once, Michael continued, but I assure you the company will only grow from here. Deborah brings knowledge and experience that will open doors to new markets and opportunities. Which markets? Asked Sarah from the sales department. Asian market, replied Deborah. I speak Japanese, Chinese, and Korean fluently, and I know the commercial legislation of those countries. We can expand our business to Asia without intermediaries. The employees' eyes lit up. Everyone knew international expansion was a long-held dream for the company. Besides, Deborah continued, I plan to review all our current contracts to identify possible improvements and savings, and I'll create an in-house legal department so we no longer need to rely on outside firms. Does that mean we'll save money? Asked Karen. A lot of money, replied Michael, which we'll reinvest in improvements for you, salary increases, better health plans, a profit-sharing program. Now the mood in the room shifted completely. Employees began asking questions about the new projects and growth opportunities. After the meeting, Deborah and Michael returned to the office. "I think it went well," said Michael. "I think so too. But we'll still face resistance from some people, because of your past, because of my past, and because of how quickly things have changed. Change scares people. But we'll prove it was the right decision. We will." In the following months, the company underwent an impressive transformation. Deborah restructured all contracts, saving over $200,000 in unnecessary costs, and opened negotiations with 3 Asian companies. She also implemented a transparency program where all employees had access to the company's financial information and created a direct channel for suggestions and complaints. "Deborah," Michael said one day, "have you noticed how the employees have changed?" "How so?" "They're more engaged, happier. It's like working here has become something enjoyable for them. It's because now they feel like they're truly part of the company, not just employees." "Did you learn that in prison?" "I did. There you learn that everyone has value no matter their situation, and you learn that small gestures of respect make all the difference. You've never talked much about that time in your life. It's not a period I like to remember, but it was important in teaching me who I really am. And who are you? Someone who doesn't give up, someone who learns from mistakes, someone who values second chances, and someone who saves companies from million-dollar frauds," Michael added with a smile. That too. 6 months after the transformation, the company had grown by 40%. The Asian contracts Deborah negotiated brought in $3 million in new revenue, and the in-house legal department saved another $500,000. "Michael," Deborah said one day, "I need to tell you something." "What is it?" "I got a call from Robert yesterday." "Robert? What did he want?" "Money. He said he still owes loan sharks and that they're threatening him." "And what did you say?" "That it wasn't our problem." "How did he react?" "Badly. Said I was ungrateful, that he gave me opportunities in the past." "Opportunities?" "He ruined your life." "I know, but it seems he still doesn't understand that." "Deborah, you're not thinking of helping him, are you?" "No, not with money." "What do you mean?" "I offered something different." "What?" "A job." Michael looked at her in shock. "A job? Here?" "Not here. I know a cleaning company that needs people. Manual labor, minimum wage, but it's honest work." "And he accepted?" "He said he'd think about it." "Deborah, after everything he did, you still want to help him?" "Michael, I'm not helping Robert. I'm helping the person he could become if he decides to turn his life around. Do you think he can change?" "Everyone can change. I've changed. You've changed. Why can't he?" "Because he doesn't want to change. He wants the world to adapt to his problems." "Maybe, but at least I offered an alternative." "You're a better person than I am, Deborah. I'm not better than anyone. I just learned that holding on to resentment hurts us more than the person we resent." A week later, Robert showed up at the company. Deborah was in her office when the receptionist announced he wanted to speak with her. "Send him up," Deborah said. "Are you sure?" asked Michael, who was in the room. "I am." Robert entered the office visibly worn down. He was thinner, unshaven, and his clothes were wrinkled. "Hi, Deborah." "Hi, Robert, have a seat. I came to talk about the job offer." "So? Have you decided to accept?" "Deborah, you know I've never done manual labor in my life." "I know. And do you know, I'd never cleaned a bathroom before I started working as a janitor." "But it's different." "Why is it different? Because you're a man, because you think you're above manual work." "That's not it." "Yes, it is, Robert. That's exactly it. You still think you're better than others." "Deborah, I'm just saying I have other qualifications. Qualifications you use to try to deceive your best friend and ruin a company. Those qualifications." Robert lowered his head. "I made mistakes." "You committed crimes, Robert. The difference matters." "So what now? Are you going to let me starve?" "No one's going to starve. You'll work, earn money honestly, and slowly pay off your debts." "It'll take me years to pay off $500,000 working minimum wage." "It will. And during those years, you'll learn the value of honest work and humility." "Deborah, for our past's sake. Our past is exactly why I'm giving you this chance. If it were anyone else, I wouldn't lift a finger. Robert stayed silent for a few minutes. If I accept, will you help me negotiate with the creditors? If you accept and prove you're really changing, I can connect you with a lawyer who handles debt restructuring. And you? And can you forgive me? Robert, forgiveness isn't something you ask for. It's something you earn with actions. And if I take the job, do you think someday we could, I don't know, be friends again? Friends, maybe. But we'll never be husband and wife again if that's what you're thinking. Why not? We were happy in the past. Because in the past I didn't know your true character. Now I do. People change, Deborah. Some change. Others just pretend until they get what they want. You think I'm the second kind. I think you have the potential to be the first kind, but you haven't proven it yet. Robert stood up. All right. I'll take the job. Are you sure? I am. I don't have much choice anyway. Robert, if you're only accepting because you have no choice, it won't work. What do you mean? You need to accept because you want to change your life. Otherwise, at the first chance to do something wrong, you'll take it. Deborah, I do want to change. Really? Then tomorrow at 7 in the morning, you'll be at the cleaning company. The address is on this note. She wrote the address on a post-it and handed it to him. 7 in the morning? I've never woken up that early. Well, one more new thing to learn. After Robert left, Michael approached Deborah. Do you think he'll make it? I don't know, but at least he'll have the chance. And if he doesn't? Then he'll have to face the consequences of his choices. Deborah, can I ask you something personal? Go ahead. Do you still feel anything for him? Deborah thought for a long moment before answering. I feel pity. Pity for the man he became and the life he wasted. But love? Love? No. Love ended the day he abandoned me in prison. And anger? No anger either. Anger is a feeling that consumes you from within. I'd rather use my energy for positive things. Like building a better company. And helping others who've been through what I've been through. Others like you. Michael, do you know how many smart, capable women are doing menial jobs because they made mistakes in the past or never got opportunities? Many, I imagine. Many. And I want to create a program to identify those people and give them opportunities. At our company and others, a social reintegration program through skilled work. Deborah, that's a brilliant idea. It's a necessary idea. If I'd had an opportunity like this 15 years ago, I wouldn't have spent all that time cleaning offices. Though it was while cleaning offices that you met me and saved my company. That's true, life has its ironies. So let's do this program. What name do you want to give it? Second Chance. Simple and direct. Perfect. 3 months later, the Second Chance program had already helped 15 women find skilled jobs. Some were former inmates like Deborah, others were single mothers who had abandoned their careers to raise children, and some were immigrants with degrees not recognized in the United States. Deborah, Michael said one day, have you seen the program's numbers? I have. 15 women placed, a 90% retention rate, and 3 partner companies interested in expanding the program. And what do you think? I think we're on the right track, but it's still not enough. How is it not enough? 15 lives changed is not nothing. It's not nothing, but it could be so much more. We need more partner companies, more visibility, more resources. And how do we get that? By presenting the program at business events, partnering with universities, seeking government support. You want to turn this into a national initiative? I want to turn this into something that changes how society sees people who've faced hardships. Deborah, do you realize this could make you a public figure? You'd have to talk about your past in interviews, speeches. I know, and I'm ready for that. Are you sure? I am. If my story can inspire others not to give up, then it's worth telling. 6 months later, Deborah was speaking at a national social inclusion event. Her story had become a symbol of resilience and second chances. My name is Deborah Wilson, she told an audience of over 1,000 people. 10 years ago, I was a successful lawyer. 8 years ago, I was an inmate. 2 years ago, I was an invisible janitor. Today, I'm a partner at a growing company and the coordinator of a program that has helped over 100 women rebuild their lives. The audience erupted in applause. I'm not here to talk about how I overcame hardships. I'm here to talk about how those hardships made me a better person. When I lost everything, she continued, I thought my life was over. When I was imprisoned, I thought I'd never have dignity again. When I became a janitor, I thought I'd be invisible forever. But I learned that sometimes you have to lose everything to discover who you really are. You have to hit rock bottom to find the strength to rise again. And I learned there's no such thing as undignified work. There's dignity in any honest job. Cleaning offices taught me more about leadership and business management than any book or course. Watching people when they thought no one was looking taught me about character, about ethics, about the importance of treating those in lower positions with respect. The audience was completely silent, absorbing every word. Today, our company has grown 300% in the last 2 years, not because I'm a brilliant executive, but because I understand the value of every person who works with us. The Second Chance program isn't just about giving jobs to people who've struggled. It's about recognizing that human potential doesn't have an expiration date. It's about understanding that difficult experiences can produce extraordinary wisdom. How many Deborahs are out there, cleaning offices, serving coffee, doing jobs that don't value their skills, simply because society can't see beyond their past mistakes? How much talent are we wasting because we don't know how to look beneath the surface? The applause was deafening. After the speech, dozens of business owners approached Deborah, interested in implementing similar programs. Deborah, said Michael, who had been in the audience, you were incredible. Thank you. But the important thing isn't me. The important thing is the opportunities we're going to create for others. Speaking of opportunities, I have some news for you. What news? New York University wants to offer you a position as a visiting professor in the law program. What do you mean? They want you to teach about social reintegration and second chances, and they want you to oversee an internship program for former inmates. Michael, is this serious? Completely serious. I got the call from the dean yesterday. Deborah was moved. A professor at NYU. I never thought it would be possible. Why not? Because of my past. Deborah, your past is now part of your qualifications. You have a unique experience that can change many lives. What about the company? How will that work? The company remains your priority. You can teach twice a week and keep your responsibilities here. Michael, I don't know how to thank you for everything you've done for me. Deborah, I'm the one who doesn't know how to thank you. You saved my company, transformed my life, and taught me the true meaning of partnership. We did it together. We did. And now we'll keep doing it together, but on an even bigger scale. A year later, the Second Chance program was in 50 companies across the United States. Deborah had become a national reference in social reintegration, and her story inspired thousands. Michael and Deborah's company had become one of the most respected in the country, not just for its financial growth, but for how it treated its employees and its social responsibility. Deborah, Michael said one Friday morning, there's something I need to tell you. What is it? Robert called yesterday. And how is he? Good. He got a better job at a logistics company. He's paying off his debts slowly and said he wants to thank you for the opportunity you gave him. I'm glad he's doing well. He also said he finally understands why you didn't want to get back together. What do you mean? He said he realized you've grown as a person while he stayed stuck in the past, and now he understands that you're both very different people from who you were before. It's true, we are. Deborah, can I ask you something personal? Go ahead. Are you happy? Completely happy. Even after everything you've been through? Especially because of everything I've been through. If I hadn't gone through all of that, I wouldn't be who I am today. And you wouldn't have saved a company from $1 million scam, Michael added with a smile, and I wouldn't have met the best partner anyone could ask for. Deborah, there's one more thing I need to tell you. What now? Fortune magazine wants to do a cover story about our partnership. from janitor to partner, the story of resilience that transformed a company. Really, really. And they want to photograph you cleaning an office, symbolizing that you never forgot your roots. Michael, do you remember that I still clean my own office once a week? I do. And that's why our partnership worked. You never lost your humility. And you never lost the ability to see potential in people. Deborah, when I offered you a month's salary to translate that contract, I never imagined I'd be completely changing my life. And when I agreed to help, I never imagined I'd be reclaiming my dignity and my career. Funny how life works, isn't it? It is. Sometimes the best things come at the most unexpected moments. 5 years after the day Deborah saved Michael's company from $1 million fraud, the two were celebrating another milestone. The company had been voted the best place to work in the United States. Deborah, Michael said during the celebration party, do you remember what you told me on the first day we worked together? What did I say? That sometimes you have to lose everything to discover who you really are. I remember. That's right. I almost lost everything that day, but I discovered who I really was, someone who needed to learn to see people beyond appearances. And I realized I hadn't lost everything like I thought. I'd only lost the things that didn't matter. And today? Today we have a thriving company, a social program that's already transformed over 1,000 lives, and a partnership built on trust and mutual respect, and a friendship that will last forever. Forever. End of story. Now tell me, what did you think of this story of overcoming and second chances? Do you believe Deborah made the right choice by helping Michael, even after everything she'd been through? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think. Thank you so much for joining us.